Okay folks, welcome to our final video of Module 0 where we are setting up the course and we're moving closer and closer to the course content, and this really sort of is course content. It's not something you'll be directly tested on, but it is kind of laying out the general philosophy for the course, why it's important, that sort of thing. We call it the Big Ideas lecture. So let's talk about some of the big ideas here. So first of all, why should you care about statistics at all? Well, back 100 plus years ago, you used to have what's called armchair psychology, which basically meant somebody with a fancy degree from a nice college would sit in an armchair and they just kind of go, hey, I wonder how the mind works, I'll just write down my ideas about it. And if enough other people with fancy degrees from nice institutions said, hey, that seems like a good way of thinking about things, then it was treated as if it was true. Hopefully the flaws of that approach are pretty intuitive. So now you can't really just write down your ideas and have people believe you. You need to conduct very carefully structured and designed research, and you need to make sense of the information you get from that research. Statistics are kind of the linchpin for that. For those of you who aren't psych majors, maybe you are in nursing or occupational therapy or physical therapy, your fields are based even more directly on empirical research. That's how you figure out if various therapies or treatments are effective or not. You can't, again, just write down, it makes sense to me that this would work. You have to, again, support it using data. So even if you don't wind up doing research, you are going to be asked to consume an awful lot of research, and you're going to have to be a judicious consumer of that. You're not only going to have to be able to understand it, you're also going to have to kind of be able to differentiate between research that is pretty good and research that is not so good, and also what conclusions can and can't be legitimately drawn from that. So this is going to be kind of a foundation for that. Here we have this lovely chart, the percentage of the chart that does and doesn't resemble Pac-Man. That's a little bit of a joke there, but obviously no matter what your career path is, you are going to be encountering a lot of research. Research is also a big part of the real world around us as well. It's how we communicate about things that we aren't doing for careers. We talk about scientists demonstrating things, we cite facts and figures. That is heavily, heavily embedded in that idea of statistical analysis and research methodology. We see it in news all the time. Coronavirus, big story right now. You see all sorts of numbers thrown around, the number of cases, the number of hospitalizations, the number of fatalities, the various rates, the infection rate. Again, it is very, very heavily based on statistical analysis. Some very simple, like just counting things, some more complex, like trying to, again, project into the future, which is much harder to do. And more practically, you all want to get out of here, you want to get a degree. Every single one of you is taking this course because it is required by your major. So if you want to get that diploma that you're, again, doing all this effort for, you're going to have to get through statistics and show working knowledge of how statistics works and how it is used. Your majors have deemed it essential knowledge and an essential skill for you to demonstrate. So that's the practical reason. So statistics essentially are a very, very powerful framework for making sense of information about the world around us. And kind of the first note of that is it's really hard to make sense of the world around us. We have to be very, very cautious and careful about getting the information, about analyzing it, and especially about drawing conclusions from it. So what we essentially do in empirical research and in statistics is we break the things we're interested down into key measurable elements, things that we are able to usually quantify. We oftentimes call those things that are measured variables. Those are things that are able to vary. Variables can relate in psychology to people, like their personality or physical characteristics, like their height, their weight, their range of motion. But it also can certainly be your intelligence, it can be your self-esteem. There can be environmental variables like the size of a room, the temperature of a room, the size of the font of text that you're having people read, various images or movies that you expose them to. Almost anything that can vary can be a variable. So what we do is we figure out what variables are we interested in and how do we expect them to relate. So essentially we wind up measuring at least some of those variables, maybe in one context, maybe in a lot of different contexts. But then we have to make sense of those measurements, and that's where statistics comes in handy. Some statistical analysis involves making sense of really basic things like, again, counting things and adding them up. Others are a lot more complex. You are trying to draw conclusions about variables that maybe you can't directly measure, and you are almost always trying to draw conclusions about people or situations that you haven't actually measured those variables in. It's called generalization, expanding what you know beyond the information you actually have to the much, much bigger amount of information that you have not been able to access. So what do those measurements tell you? what variables are linked to one another within those measurements, and importantly, what makes them change. And that last one relies on, or is a very special type of research design called an experiment, where we take a variable, we deliberately alter it, and then we see if that appears to influence measurements of another variable, an outcome that we're interested in. So you need statistics to do essentially all of that. So some of the key questions that we might have: what are the most important variables in our field of study, and how can we tell? How can we separate useful, influential variables from ones that are just kind of coincidental, or what you might call spurious, not legitimate? There's a big concern, especially in psychology: how do you measure variables as accurately and consistently as possible? This is true in every field that looks at variables, but in psychology especially, we're oftentimes real interested in measuring things that are located in other people's heads. You can't really directly access that. So we have to figure out a way to indirectly represent it in a way that's as accurate and consistent as possible. Really, really hard to do, very painstaking process to try to do that. We have to figure out how do we differentiate between patterns of results that we just kind of shrug at and say, that could have happened just due to a fluke, and patterns of results that do mean something, that really do tell us something meaningful about large groups of people or situations. So that's kind of the utility of statistics in general, and that's how we apply it. One thing that I recommend that you do when I talk about generic things like just variables, it's not a bad idea to just pick a couple of variables you're interested in, things that might vary within your own specific field, and just kind of mentally insert those in when I'm thinking about variables, or when I'm talking about variables. I can kind of ground what I'm talking about in something a little more tangible. So the things that you get out of this class will help make you a better consumer of statistics and research, which again you're going to have to do in your majors, especially in graduate work, but certainly while you're here, but also something that can help you make sense of the oftentimes dizzying array of information presented to you by people that are trying to persuade you. So for example, here's an old article of mine, it's a couple paragraphs. These paragraphs should not make much sense to you at all, especially the stats here. We got some letters, we got M's and F's and P's, we got numbers, some of them are negative, some of them like 11, this number, this P is really small, I guess, it's less than 0.001. Again, this should mostly be gibberish to you. By the end of the semester, you should be able to look over this and be able to pick out, here's what this is actually telling us, what information this is providing, and what it tells us about this research design. So we're going to complete Module 0 with a couple of extra credit assignments. The first is, I mentioned, I want you to be able to use statistics or identify it in real-world contexts. So what I want you to do is take some information from something non-academic. Certainly not from this class, but not from your other classes either. Just something you just encounter out there in the real world. Different websites, social media feeds, articles, things that are related to something you're interested in, news reports, and just show me how statistics are used. Statistics being used just means numbers, quantities, are being somehow used to organize, summarize, or interpret information. You are going to upload them to the discussion board. There's a special discussion board for this assignment. Ideally, attach it or provide a link that works. You can copy paste as a last resort, but I would rather be able to see the original source with a short explanation, less than a paragraph, written by you of how statistics are being used in this case. Additionally, there's a little bit of a pre-test on the type of math that you're going to be doing in this course, the basic algebra that we're doing. There's an algebra quiz that's also available in Module 0, and if you take that, upload it, you will get you get 3 extra bonus points for that, as well as 3 for the real life example, and I'm going to give you a grade. I'm going to give you a percentage to deal with. So I'll give you a percentage, and that'll give you a sense of how well prepared you are for the mathematical stuff here. Finally, I mentioned this in the taking your test example. There is a practice test. It is not graded, but it is worth bonus points. It's in Module 0. It is making sure that your browser works, your webcam works, all of that. That is worth 5 bonus points just for completing it, and up to 5 more for getting the answers correct. So you have the opportunity to start things off by racking up a lot of bonus points and giving yourself that big margin of error that you're going to want to have going into the semester. So again, if you have any questions or comments, discussion board's good, email's good, face-to-face meetings are good. But at this point, you've wrapped up Module 0. Go tackle those extra credit assignments, then start, if you haven't already, reading Chapter 1 and going over the material in Chapter 1. See you there.